Hi, I'm Faraz Khan from iTrack Recruitment, and welcome to the Low Code Podcast, where we're dedicated to increasing awareness and appreciation of the power of low code. In this podcast, we'll hear from developers about their career journeys and how low code has enabled them to achieve new levels of success and innovation. So let's go. Hi, Advait, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Thanks for agreeing to take part in the podcast.
Oh, no, thanks. Pleasure is all mine to help me opine my feelings, my opinions about low code and everything which I hold dearly.
Yeah,
So yeah, but however, I would want to state that these are all just my opinion, and OutSystems has no opinion about this whatsoever. They might have a
of course.
different opinion like this.
Yeah, of course. And as I was saying offline, you've probably got the best background I've had so far. And I guess usually it's a nice virtual background. Yours is actually real, so you can tell us where you are at the moment.
Oh yeah, gladly. So I'm in the beautiful city of Jersey City in New
Yeah,
Jersey. I've been here since last decade. Wow, and I could not get myself out of Jersey City.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, it's basically now kind of growing as a new borough of New York City itself,
yeah.
just a river across to it. But yeah, that's where I am.
Amazing, amazing. So we'll start. You've given us a little brief introduction, but it'd be good to kind of start with um, personal to start with. Your introduction to who you are, where you're from.
Oh, okay, sure. So I was born in Mumbai, India. I was I've completed my education in Mumbai itself, and so there I started my career with uh, with an airline domain company. So there I was working on. I mean, maybe old people or maybe the people with the gray hair remember
Yeah,
the technologies such as Pro C.
yeah,
So I think even at my time it was like not many people were using Pro C. So
yeah.
Pro C, and that was where I chose to work with Oracle database, and
Oh,
I gladly continue with that. So Oracle and database background was the hallmark of my whole traditional experience,
yeah.
traditional web development, application development experience. So after that, I was working for Bombay Stock Exchange for a while, and then I decided to do MBA. And to pursue MBA, I chose to go in Lancaster University in Lake District.
Yeah,
Uh, that was a beautiful experience for 1 year,
yeah,
and yeah, that basically taught me a lot about me and about my career choices. And then I went back to India, and there I was working with Cognizant, and with Cognizant I got experiences of different domains such as life
mhm,
sciences or telecom or asset management and insurance. So it was pretty long, I suppose, around 8 to 9 years of career
yeah,
with Cognizant, and after that I was working for BMW for a while, and then I was with Deutsche Bank. However, I would want to mention that I came across my first interaction with low code was at Cognizant,
okay,
where we were developing POC for one of the application with
mm,
Oracle Application Express. So that's the first tool,
yeah,
low tool, which I ever used, and I was like, wow,
yeah,
because most of my career was in a database. Uh,
yeah,
so how much ever performant architecture you create, people would always look at the application or web portal and then they will say, wow, how nice it looks.
yeah,
So I always used to have that flair that no, I mean, I should be able to create everything from scratch, or
yeah,
should be able to build everything full stack. And I think low code kind of completed that ambition, that
mm,
particular, and that's where I was really attached to low code, I would say.
mm,
And then I got few roles which were directly associated to low code development, few were not, but then
mm,
I still kept on connecting to low code. However, with OutSystems low code, I came in in uh, in accordance, or I started using, or I first heard about OutSystem in 2017.
Okay.
I was like, let me just understand what is the low code market.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
because I was facing some challenges at Oracle Application Express development, particularly if I wanted to go for, other database. Maybe they
Mm,
have that functionality now, but
yeah,
at the time I had a real struggle.
yeah,
That made me look for other options, and then I came across OutSystems, and I was like, okay, just let me try this platform. And I was trying to play around that 2018, 19. And then I thought, wow, I should
yeah.
probably try to join. It would be
Yeah,
really a fabulous experience.
yeah.
So I was trying in various different capacities. I was trying to apply, but then it wasn't always on the cards. But then finally, in last year,
Mm,
2020, early 2022, I joined
yeah.
OutSystems.
That's amazing. Yeah, and here we are today, yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously in between you moved to the US. So
Oh yeah.
did you go from the UK to you went back to India, right? And then from
Yes.
there you moved to
Yes.
the US. So what kind of made you do that?
So I at that time I was working with Cognizant, and I was looking at better career opportunity
Mm,
in US, and around 2013 I made a move to US. For 1 year I was in Seattle. After that I moved to Jersey City, and since then I'm here.
in
I,
Jersey, yeah.
yeah.
And when you kind of decide when you were kind of evaluating when you said I want to look into low code, other kind of platforms, other than OutSystems, did you look at any other ones?
Oracle Application Express, yes.
Yeah.
Service now very briefly, but
Mm,
that's about it.
yeah. So
Means
you were
to
convinced without systems.
yeah. First of all, when I looked at OutSystems, it was too good to be true, man. I mean,
Mm,
this
mm,
platform is like you can connect with any systems which are like consuming or exposing APIs with most common databases and data sources, most common ERP systems. So it was too good to be true. So it was mainly curiosity, which I was like,
yeah.
okay, just try this. Let's
Yeah.
check particular points. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, not
Yeah.
bad, not bad at all.
And when you kind of obviously, you're obviously working directly for OutSystems. So if you can tell us a bit about your role at OutSystems and what you're doing there.
Yeah, sure. So I'm working as a solutions architect in OutSystems, and here I'm working for US East team. However, my role kind of helps me or allows me to also understand and work and assist, if possible, for other geographies. And this is more of a consultative and collaborative role. I'm grateful and I'm really fortunate to talk to different ideas and different kind of clients with who are really passionate about their business, and they are exploring low code. And my job in OutSystems is to guide them to understand their use case, their pain points, and how we can solve it along with the technological progress what we have in OutSystems.
Yeah. And since you've kind of been working with them, what's some things you've been quite obviously you were impressed with the platform, but once you start working for them directly, what's some things you've been quite impressed by?
That's a good question, actually. Thank you. Uh, so one thing which got me closer to OutSystems platform was freedom of choice, and I think it's a part of culture in OutSystems. So when I'm talking to my client or to understand, so there are some guidelines which they have, which you have to adhere to. However, you can use your own thinking. You know, they trust you
Mm,
with your approach. They trust you with your experience. They trust you with your guiding or consultative abilities, problem solving abilities, and so that's what a kind of freedom of operations, I think, is something which I like in this particular culture. And secondly, the collaboration within the organization. I mean, if I am working in US East, okay, if I have some questions, then we within organizations uh, have so much of different channels where we can reach out to, say, for example, to other solution architect in UK or other
Yeah.
solution in Australia, and they will be able to respond or maybe offer some help. So it
Mm.
feels so close knit. And
Yeah.
then you, with this kind of mindset, when you approach any prospect or any client or whoever wants their problem to be solved with OutSystems or low code, then you feel very empowered,
Mm.
like that you can definitely solve their problem. If they need any help, you can reach out to your surrounding, to your colleagues, and then they will be able to offer you help. So that changes whole paradigm of the consultative or solution driven approach.
Yeah, and I think for me, someone obviously from the outside and kind of looking in, I think one thing, like when I look at the community and kind of how the community is run, and I think even though like people are all over the world, it feels like you're all in the office together. The relationships are very good, for a kind of a very remote team.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So that's what still amazes me. It's like almost two
Mm,
years I've been working without
mm,
systems, but like we all work remote. But at the same time, when you're working remote, still when you meet, you still have that bond, or you still have that camaraderie within the team.
mm,
It
mm.
really helps you grow.
Yeah. And the role you're doing now, did you ever do kind of you're speaking to customers and things like that? Did you do a similar role at all when you were working with traditional, or not so much?
Not at all. This is my
Okay.
first role, which is more customer focused, or
Mm,
I'm working for different kind of customers, or helping them to
yeah,
understand their or to solve their technological problems to adopt our
yeah,
system.
yeah.
That
And how is the kind of feedback when you're speaking to customers? Because even like I think low code is I think a lot well known now, but still there is people around who, don't believe or just, aren't really aware. So do you find that challenging, or is that for you? It's just kind of everyone's kind of really on board.
um, so when I joined a couple of years back, so there was a different perception. It has definitely changed.
Mm.
We are seeing there are a lot many companies which are coming up with, yeah, we are also low code, we are also no code
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And there is a famous but rather grim quote by a German physicist, Max Planck,
yeah.
that technology forwards one funeral at a time.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, there is nothing to believe. It's even if you or me believe it or not, 2 plus 2 are
Mm.
always going to be 4,
Yes,
right?
yeah, yeah,
There's a famous example of in 1903, Thomas Alva Edison in Coney Island electrocuted an elephant to show the how AC current can be a problem. It's a bane to a society. It's
yeah,
not. It basically it can cause a lot of problem. But here we are.
yeah,
We're
yeah, yeah,
talking.
yeah, yeah, exactly,
Right?
yeah.
So I mean, it has nothing to be believing. I would rather urge those people who do not believe in low code that please keep open mind.
Mm.
Please understand, because there is a reason lots of other companies are also going for low code, right?
Yeah,
There is a reason why if you are not doing it, maybe your competitor is already talking
yeah,
about it.
yeah,
There are so many different aspects to the technology which you are if even if we believe or not, it's still gonna happen.
yeah, 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 exactly.
And the very fact of technology is making impossible possible. That's
Yeah,
why technology
exactly.
exists, right?
Yeah,
And so let's look at this particular problem in three different ways. If you are CIO or CTO, you are tasked with mainly three things. One, increase the revenue, reduce the cost, or reduce the risk
yeah,
from your company or from your business. So all these three things are possible with low code. Okay. I'm not just saying with OutSystems. With OutSystems, of course, you have added advantage with, from the security point of view, from improving your go-to-market point of view, from reducing your overhead cost point of view, right? So that's where CIO, CTO nowadays they are troubled with shadow IT. all the groups in the big organizations, they are trying to come up with their own, IT manifesto. And
Mm.
these kind of things are detrimental to the complete enterprise architecture, right? And that's what generally hinders the growth. So when you have a platform like OutSystems, if you are, say, for example, banking industry, then you can focus completely, your innovation completely be focused on the banking, right? You don't have to be struggling with the rudimentary tasks of, oh, I need a person who is front end person, or who is a
Yeah.
back end of a person, right? So that's where you have specific recruitment companies who can help you to gain those OutSystems developers,
Yeah.
or say, for example, other low code company developers,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
that's what one OutSystems developer or one low-code developer can achieve everything. They can create web portals, they can create mobile applications, right? And that takes a lot of headache out of your entire recruitment force. And then you
Yeah.
can invest your energies onto innovation.
Yeah.
When you are architect, you are mainly tasked with managing the enterprise architecture. And when you have a platform which manages the whole technology stack, right, which keeps you informed, which gives you amazing observability tools, which gives you information through various different formats, you have freedom to use the APIs from the observability platform and build your own applications, right? So
Mm.
that makes your job a lot easier. You can
Yeah.
sleep peacefully at night,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You are when you are a developer, I'm sure, Firoz, you were there at Denver. You have seen
Yes.
active, enthused developer community.
Yes.
So when
Yes.
you are a developer, you don't have to be like I was. I come from, like, I have around 16 years of traditional development
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
So you don't have to confine yourself that, oh, I'm just a database developer. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
just a front-end developer, or I'm just a UI developer, right? So this helps you to also challenge yourself. As a developer, all you can do is challenge yourself to
Yeah.
learn new things, right? To create new things.
Yeah.
And there are new technologies which are going to come in the market. But then if you don't have to struggle that, okay, I also need to learn reactive JS, I
Mm.
also need to learn responsive, how
Yeah.
to application responsive. Oh, there is new database in the market. Let me understand that.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have that complete part or the platform which takes the decision fatigue out of you, when you have to debug the application, when you have to
Yeah.
test the application, when you see all four pillars together, then you can create miracles. Then you can
Yeah.
focus on the task in your hand, and that itself improves your complete development capability. As a developer, you can contribute 4 to 5 times more as compared to the traditional development.
Yeah.
Then there are
Yeah.
tools such as AI Mentor, which can keep the tab on traditional
Yeah.
technical debt. Technical debt in itself is not wrong or is not bad, but unmonitored technical debt can be a problem to a company, right? So
Mm.
in case of OutSystems, we have AI Mentor, which can give you, like, how you can monitor your technical debt, how you can keep check on security related vulnerabilities. Because we developers, I also consider myself into that,
Yeah.
are
Yeah. Yeah.
known for just taking care of errors and ignoring warnings. But
Yeah.
with OutSystems platform, you can look at those particular warnings, you can categorize them. If there are some core security threats or architecture related problems, you can address them then and there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what is the advantage of using low code. So to answer your question, if you do not believe in low code ethos, I would again urge you to keep your eyes open or keep your mind open towards the
Yeah.
possibility.
Yeah. And since you've kind of, you haven't been there obviously that long, but in the time you've been there, kind of, what are some of the features that have released in that time that you've been quite impressed with and thought, yeah, this is definitely a game changer or taking it to the next level?
There are two features which I would want to highlight about AI Mentor. Is one particular. It's a lifesaver, man. I distinctly remember, I whenever I demo that or I show that to a prospect, I have literally heard this sigh of relief from that. Oh man, we were looking
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
Few of them have also asked the questions that, can we put this to our existing application, or do we have to just put it on OutSystems application?
Yeah.
I mean, these kind of questions help you understand the intensity of pain they might be
Mm,
experiencing.
mm,
So this AI mentor, and it is being constantly improved within OutSystems. There are new features which always getting added to that,
Yeah.
and it really helps these kind of
Yeah.
features. So
Yeah.
AI mentor is one, and the another part is lifestyle guide. So from UI perspective, and those are the problems which are mainly faced by bigger organizations.
Mm.
So they have a brand to manage, right? They have a brand, or they have certain message to send to their customers, their consumers, and building mobile applications or web portals is one way to do that, right? And in these kind of scenarios, if you are have to spend or invest a lot of time in creating themes or creating UI, then that can be real challenge.
Yeah.
In OutSystems, you can use lifestyle guide to customize those themes, and then if you have to, you can create or you can customize, you can custom build object as small as a button and as big as the whole theme for the application, right? And tomorrow, say for some reason your logo changes, which is very common in enterprise
Yeah.
organization, and these kind of change can also spawn that you need to also change your themes of the
Yeah.
app, the web portal. That can be whole project for some
Yeah.
companies
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
are going for the traditional
Yeah.
coding. With OutSystems, with the lifestyle guide, these kind of features help to achieve this kind of task very easily. Of course, UI UX developers, or they can, or maybe UI UX. I would really request you to have somebody from that team that can
Yeah.
they can really help you to understand and uncover the aspect they are building in to make the applications more intuitive.
Yeah. 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 I'll definitely get put someone on my hit list for sure.
That's great.
Yeah, that's great. And in regards to obviously, talking about the things that you're most impressed with, is there kind of anything that you haven't seen that you would like to see in the future?
Um, it's a good question, but we are already towards that. So I would want to see the applications, or which are particularly anybody like from layman. Right now, my 8-year-old daughter, she is working with me on OutSystems. So
Nice.
she is
Yeah.
learning Excel, and she is learning to create some basic application on OutSystems with the Excel, and I think it's going pretty good. So to extend that idea, you should be able to create the applications with just natural language processing. You should be able to type that, okay, these are the chatbots, or maybe these are the applications which are AI infused applications. And I think we are almost there, or we are approaching to that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. I think, yeah, that's the thing with obviously to speak about OutSystems, they're forever kind of enhancing the product, isn't it?
And what I really like to see nowadays is in colleges, they have to build or create capstone projects,
Yeah.
right? So OutSystems has its own free personal environment, which you can download from
Yeah.
OutSystems. You can go to the portal, you can download, and then you can start playing with that. You have access to OutSystems open repository, that is OutSystems Forge, and you can drag and drop components. So I always give this analogy, like building an application with OutSystems is like building with Lego blocks. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah. Yeah.
blocks, you create those applications, and then if you want, you can reuse those blocks which you have always created. And I really like to see that even colleges or in capstone projects, they are already ahead, or already seeing this as a possibility, or they are already seeing this as a mainstream part of a application development. So what else we want from
Yeah.
belief point of view on low code?
Yeah, 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 of course, yeah. And is there obviously you can't mention names and things like that, but is there any kind of interesting projects that you can talk about that you've been involved in or know about?
There is not just one project. There is a category of project which I would mention,
Mm,
because Chat GPT has really woken a kind of hunger for AI with
yeah,
every,
yeah,
and that has kind of raised the bar. I mean, everybody is making the game bigger for their
yes,
application, and
yeah,
that's what I like. It's kind of a challenging, but at the same time, I find it very encouraging that, okay, wow, we are exploring the possibilities, or we are talking about the different use cases in different domains, in manufacturing domain, in banking domain, in insurance domain. And that's where, because companies are going away from traditional template approach.
Mm.
Because what happens with certain low code or no code tool is they offer certain templates, all
Yeah.
right? For banking, say maybe for insurance, we have certain use cases like, okay, I want to go for underwriting workbench, or first notice of loss. So creating the template is like, whoever is my competitor, if they adopt to that template, then my application and their application is going to be the same. Then where is the
Mm.
question of competitive edge, right? So
Yeah.
that we're having a platform where you can paint your own picture, where you can, of course, staying within the compliance, staying within the regulatory framework, you can still provide some value to end users, right? So having that kind of a platform is something which is really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. And just with low code, I think so. We've been involved in low code 5 years, right? And we've seen we monitor jobs and things like that. And what's your kind of take on where you see there's obviously all these reports that get published and things like that. But what's your kind of view of how do you see the future of low code and the kind of customer landscape of how you think things will go in the next few years?
Um, in this kind of a scenario, I think right now AI is governing the entire development process. However, I'm a little fearful of
Yeah.
trying to predict the vision or of this whole thing. But what I particularly think is a platform which is focused on larger, or is inclusive of possibilities, or is
Mm.
offering the freedom of choice, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
everybody wants to. So right now, I know I'm using maybe Oracle or SQL Server, but tomorrow, if some new XYZ DB comes into the market, I should have the luxury to integrate with that, right?
Yeah.
Tomorrow, if some other new technologies comes in the market, say virtual reality is not a new technology, but if I want to create some use case, my
Mm.
platform should give me ability
Yeah.
to able to integrate that, or to build that, or to cater to that. It should not confine me that, oh, uh, I cannot do it because my platform doesn't have a template, or because my platform doesn't have an integration for that, right? So
Mm.
I think creating a platform which gives you freedom of choice, and I think that is another thing which I like about OutSystems. When we go, or when we are talking to a prospect in the first meeting, we try and understand whether there is any use case.
Mm.
If not, and this is, I think, I have seen only first time in sales, we have also shown a candor to recuse ourselves that
Yeah.
probably our systems is not a right platform for you.
Yeah.
I think things like this, when you are being very honest right from the first meeting,
Yeah.
right, that helps you win and keep the customers for long. And that's what I think, that's why our even churn rate is less than around 5%. The second part is,
Mm.
tomorrow, for some reason, if you don't like our faces, if you want to go away from OutSystems
Yeah.
as a platform, you still have an option to get all the efforts you have invested into in the form of applications. You can get all those applications back. You don't have to be feeling like, oh my God, all the applications which I've created are gone with the platform.
Yeah.
It's again the freedom of choice,
Yeah.
which I definitely appreciate over here.
Mm. And when you're kind of speaking to these customers, I've spoken to some customers about it, but when you're speaking to the customers who have kind of an existing team of traditional people, for example, um, from what you may have heard or may have not, do you know of, like, is that sometimes a challenge to convince the existing team this is what we're getting? Because obviously, if you've got someone who's invested at 10, 15 years, before you went into OutSystems, you had all this experience in traditional, and if
Right.
you didn't explore low code, you'd probably stick to kind of, because that's also where the money is, because you've got the experience, right?
Yeah.
So have you had where some customers are sometimes finding it challenging to convince the existing team that this is the new approach we're taking?
Yes. we have experienced that kind of a scenario. Uh, However, what happens is any technology doesn't make you redundant.
Mm.
If organization wants you to go, they will. It's just a tool.
Yeah,
Technology
of course.
is a tool, it's just a
Yeah.
reason, right? What OutSystems or maybe a low code platform does is it gives you wings. I'm focusing again and again on the same factor, right? Having said that, the next question comes is okay, I understand everything about the platform, but how about training, right? What about learning? So for that, again, I can speak for OutSystems definitely. I
Yeah.
mean, what is the case with OutSystems platform? You can download the free application version. You can learn yourself. And again, see, it's like, let's compare. What are the options if you stay with the traditional development, right? You're again, every day you are getting bombarded with different technologies which you have to learn, right? So
Yes.
learning is a part and parcel of your game. Take it or
Yeah,
leave
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You have
So
to stay current, don't you? Yeah.
exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not like that, okay, I have learned some superhuman technology and I never have to learn anything again. It's not what happens,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Have to keep learning something. And with OutSystems, what happens is we have active developer relation community. We have active web community or web forums where people respond, where we have MVPs who are very active and they respond. We have immense amount of documentation on web. We have immense amount of videos available on YouTube, right? And
Yeah.
we have other different groups which can cater to that, which can help. If you want to learn about OutSystems, then there are ways. We
Yeah.
also offer, when you want, when we are building an application for customer, we also offer co-delivery services. So
Okay.
developers can also learn with us.
Yeah.
So, so for me, if I'm a traditional developer who is generally maybe a front end or back end or a mobile developer, I'm gonna learn a platform which allows me to do all three,
Yeah,
right?
of course. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good at the end of the day, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so that's where I think we have to choose our heart. You either learn a new language which is bombarding every day, or you learn something which is more, which is giving you more perspective of complete application development as a whole.
Yeah. And in your personal experience, obviously, you'd have a network of people you've worked with in your past jobs. Have you kind of got anyone who in your network, when you obviously, told them you're working for OutSystems or update LinkedIn, asked you, oh, what's that? And not heard of it and not being convinced. Have you ever had that kind of conversation with your, ex-colleagues or anyone in your network?
Oh, yes. Yes, but I think nowadays low code is pretty common. And when
Yeah,
people are talking or reading about low code, they commonly come across OutSystems.
yeah,
So
yeah,
the questions are a little different. It's not like what is OutSystems? It's about okay, so what all things you do? What are the use cases you
yeah,
guys? So and I love OutSystems.
yeah, yeah.
24/7, 365. Even if I'm on vacation, I would not stop myself yapping about OutSystems.
So when they ask you, you're like this.
Really?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
that's good. How long have you got?
Yeah.
Okay.
So and that really helps because at the end of the day, I have learned a new use case or new pain point,
Mm,
and they have learned one way of looking at the problem or maybe what we can do about it. So and if I don't know the answer to that, I can reach anytime to anybody in OutSystems. And
mm.
trust me, that's not just me. If I Slack
Yeah,
somebody at maybe
yeah,
like 10 p.m. in the night, I'm sure I'll get a response.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
so it's not a have to. It We all feel like we get to work for OutSystems and
yeah,
it's a fun job. So that changes the whole dimension.
yeah. And I think, like me, but like, this since I've been doing the podcast, I think every person I speak to, they have the same kind of passion, for it. And you can just tell, from when the person's talking, the smile and everything, it's like they're talking about their child. It's you know what I mean. It's their professional child, really. And I've noticed, like, over the years, nearly every kind of guest I'll have, you can really feel it, and even like I'm not technical, but even it makes me think, oh, thank God we decided to be a low code recruiter. I'm glad we picked this way rather than just being a traditional recruitment company. We still do traditional recruitment, and when I speak to those kind of developers, it's the same passion. You will get the odd who is very about it, but the percentage of people when I speak to, not just OutSystems, other kind of platforms as well, that there's a real kind of love for it, real passion. And I think that's where, like you said, you're willing to talk about it to anybody. And no matter what time of the night you might ask a question, there's always someone like willing to help out and help the community, which I think is really great.
Actually, that brings me one question for you, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, you have made this platform where, low code professionals like me can come and share their knowledge, share their insights. So, from that spectrum of low code, how would you perceive all the low code leaders, or how would you describe all the low code leaders?
Look, I think when we if I look at so when we started iTrack, right, when we came across the very first low code platform we came across was OutSystems. So we we thought about it and we decided, okay, we monitored things and we could tell, we kind of just took a risk where we said, okay, we think this thing's going to be big. Let's just put all our eggs in the OutSystems basket. And we monitored all the jobs. And, what I've seen in the last 5 years is when I look at kind of all the leaders, the ones it's always OutSystems and Mendex really, who is coming, we're seeing a lot of, and like you mentioned, like the customers who are, you mentioned earlier, customers, there's big companies investing in low code. And, even us, one thing we've, as a recruitment company, when we've kind of monitored the market, monitored companies, I noticed, for example, the pandemic, for example, where a lot of companies were quiet in the recruitment side, we got very busy. Like for us, it's not nice to say, but for us, it was a good thing. Like with the amount of requirements we got from customers saying, where, we need something that's going to allow us to do what we need to do fast, and kind of all the cutting edge things that low code offer. And especially, the leaders obviously, they're against each other to release the next best thing first, right? So they're always kind of trying to be who's first, who's kind of got the right thing. And when you look at the community of the way the developers are growing on that side, and the whole reason for us starting the podcast was to let people hear stories of people who have come from, like you, traditional, and now look at the way they're talking passionately about low code. And same on the customer side. When we speak to customers, we can see they feel, I get a lot of people who say to me, I can go home and switch off. I can go home and switch off. And I think that when you look at the leaders of low code, obviously, you're an OutSystems guy, so you will be all about OutSystems. When I speak to Mendex guys, they're all about Mendex and the other platforms as well. But surely, from our point of view, they're the two that we kind of feel in the market is everybody knows who they are. They're kind of always on the releasing the cutting edge side of things and really kind of making sure they're current. That was one of the reasons why I came to Denver. I was probably the only non-technical guy in the room, but I attended your session, and other sessions and Menno's session, and like all those things to see. It's quite, it's really interesting to see all the things that are coming out, because obviously I'm reading articles all the time. AI is the buzzword of the current buzzword, right? And and obviously OutSystems were ready for Denver to have all these things. They knew everybody's there to hit, what's next, what's next, what are you going to release? So it's definitely something, from our kind of personal side, we're glad we chose OutSystems as the first kind of thing, even though we expanded now. It's always kind of we've got a really good relationship with with OutSystems, and that's why we're attending all these things. So from our perspective, you know, what OutSystems is doing, and from like the customer side, we see a lot of customers who purchase OutSystems are in love with it. You know, they're really, you know, invested in it, really kind of passionate about it. And that's why when I approach customers to be a guest, you know, these guys are usually guys who won't reply to me on LinkedIn. But as soon as you say, "Hey, can you talk about OutSystems for an hour?" They're like, "Yep, sure." You know, you know, so and it's nice. You know, it's not just the developers; it's the CTOs who are like, "Yeah, actually, I'm happy to talk about it." So, yeah, appreciate the question. It's quite strange for someone to ask me a question. So yeah, appreciate it.
And then you have mentioned a really good point, because AI is a buzzword now, but
Yes.
OutSystems has been preparing for AI since 2017.
Wow.
OutSystems platform had AI since 2018. So right now, when we are talking about AI, everybody of us can actually distinguish between AI and OCR capabilities based on what client actually wants. We can actually ask them that, do you want AI to build your applications, or do you want applications which are infused with AI? And
Mm.
this level of analysis, or this level of guidance, or this level of consultation can only come when you have prepared, or when you have started preparing your platform a lot earlier.
Yeah.
When you're
Yeah.
not just riding a wave of AI. Oh
Yeah.
wow, AI
Yeah.
is the
Yeah.
buzzword. Let's do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. 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 Of
Let's
course.
have it in
Yeah.
our platform. No, it's
Yeah, yeah. And I think in Denver, Paolo did the timeline, didn't he? And
yeah.
he said this has been kind of, we've been talking about all these things from a long time ago to kind of deliver the best product. So yeah, yeah, exactly what you say hits the nail on the head, definitely. And you kind of being in the US, a question I had for you, because obviously we're a recruiter, we're recruiting globally for customers, and US is, I think, growing. Growing. The developer community, I think, isn't the biggest. You know, why do you think that is? Because I know I obviously see, you post a lot of stuff on LinkedIn about the training programs that are happening, which I think a lot more are happening now, from what I can see. But do you think there's a reason why there's not that many, or do you think there hasn't been enough of a push where now there is going to be a bigger push to grow that community?
Part of that is, I think we were looking for maybe indication from clients or customers or prospects that they're ready for low code. I would
Mm,
say so. When we go for marketing events, or when we go to talk to different prospects, now we are the way questions are focused. It's like
yeah,
how to integrate with certain databases, or what happens if we have some security related questions, or we have PCI compliance, we have SOC 2 compliance. How can we build applications along with that? Then that people are not just scratching the surface now. They really want to go deeper, right? And the at the core of this, OutSystems believes that uh, yes, you can build applications which are necessary, or your citizen developers can build applications. But when you're talking about whole enterprise application, it's bigger than that. It's not just building the application. What about maintenance? What about deployment? What about DevOps? What about security? Right?
yeah,
When we are talking about big enterprise applications or architecture, your applications need to adhere to certain standards,
yeah,
right? And for that, having a developer who is having that all-encompassing views are definitely contributing. And I think people are ready to learn. People want to learn. It's about giving them a platform, giving them
yeah,
opening more training workshops, or giving them
yeah,
more chances. So I always say, please feel free to reach out to me on this
yeah.
email. Anything. So
Yeah, yeah,
really,
and that's great. And I think, yeah, I think what we find from outside, which is a challenge, and I've spoken about this with some of the OutSystems guys in Portugal, and like you said, there's the programs are there, videos, everything's there, download for free, the training, the kind of boot camps, and I think what we find, which is a struggle, is on the customer side. Sometimes a customer will say, "Okay, I need a really senior guy." Um, but he needs to have 4 or 5 years experience. I'm not willing to take a guy who's got all the other stuff, just not the OutSystems piece. And not willing to kind of bring someone in who can train for 3 to 6 months and then come in. So I think that's a challenge we come across quite a bit, because obviously there's only a certain number of senior people, and they will remain the senior people, right? Because everyone else is coming up through the ranks. So I think
Right.
that's a challenge. So it's good to kind of I think it's kind of the customer's perspective, what the customer is willing to accept sometimes as well.
Well, thank you for that feedback. I think I'll definitely discuss that internally with my team, and I'll get back to you with, what are possible options for how we can try to resolve that. Thank you.
It's something we come across a lot. And I think it's always for us, we're trying to at the same time convince people from traditional, here's amazing opportunity in low code, but then we also need the customer to say, yeah, I'll look at the guy, he is a tech lead, he just doesn't have the low code piece, like someone like you has come in and in such a short space of time, so much, so I think it's, and I think OutSystems is definitely putting that message across, and trying to always tell everybody you need to be kind of open. When I was in Denver and we were in that communal kind of area, and I was talking to some customers that were there, and a lot of them are kind of open to it. I think there's some that aren't, they're stuck in their ways, but I think definitely with the community growing, I think definitely the US market is a big one, definitely. So a kind of final question for you. I think you covered most of the stuff that I was looking for. In regards to kind of, you haven't been OutSystems very long, so it's kind of, for you, what's your kind of personal aspirations, targets for the future?
So as I mentioned previously, I do not believe in 5 years plan or 10 years plan, but at the same time, I would like to plan for 1 year. I have 3 hobbies, basically. I like to read, I like to travel, and I like to talk. And OutSystems.
Amazing. You need to get a t-shirt, I think, with that.
I still am learning a lot of stuff about OutSystems, about technology, and how things are done. So I think I'll continue doing that for a while, and I'm sure within that, learning about AI itself has a lot of different opportunities and aspects. I'm fortunate enough to meet different people in organization who are experts about AI, and I've learned few things from them. So I think from my plan perspective, I'll continue doing that. I'm sure by the time I'm done with that, some new thing is always there.
Of course.
That will definitely catch my attention.
Exactly. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time. It was really good to talk to you and kind of hear your views. I didn't mention to you before, but I think from all my guests, you're only the second guest I've ever met in person prior to recording. So everyone else has been virtual. So it was good to meet you at Denver and also get you on.
Likewise, man. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. It was
no problem. And maybe we can speak again in the future. And I look forward to seeing you maybe at another event as well.
You surely will. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.